Okay, here we are.
It's we've been busy, right?
Been crazy week.
Busy,
Crazy week.
busy for James and Matt, but we're very excited to be doing the second interview for the week. Uh,
Second in 4 days.
yeah, something like that. With like buses,
Well, I
but
was thinking
with
about this earlier. This is more than we had in the last season, in the
no,
last
I know.
4 days.
No, I know, but it's like the analogy doesn't work, does it? Because it's like buses where there's no schedule. Like like
Yeah,
there's nothing to check whether they should have been coming. They just all right, we're gonna stop now.
they
Um
just appear.
they just appear. Welcome. My name is James,
My name is Matt.
and this is the world famous Emo Dad intro music. For
I'll try not to.
those
Um,
watching the I'm not sure if I'm interrupting or not.
my mouth is sealed shut.
Um, for those, oh, I've got something in my teeth. That's not going to be good for the guests later. I'm just going to
Dig that out.
do. You can all, those watching on the video can enjoy that moment. That moment for everyone. It's
I
an
can't see
exciting
it.
moment.
Or is it gone?
I think it's gone.
Give
But
us a grin.
I'm gonna talk like this
Give us a
for a little
grin.
bit. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
You have it with your moustache, like, do you let the hair grow sort of over your lip, into your
No,
mouth? That's
I've
the
that
that's
it
not
does
allowed.
happen, but it's not allowed.
It's
But
annoying,
you've
isn't it?
well, it also begs the question, how high do you trim it?
I need to do
Be
mine tonight.
because you don't, if you show skin above the lip between that and your tash,
Mm.
you're in like supervillain territory.
Yeah.
And although I don't think that's a problem, I think it's, just something to be aware of.
Well, if you want to be a supervillain, then it's perfect.
If you were a supervillain, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when we have a guest, because we have precisely 7 minutes to kill. So it's gonna be chaos for the next 7 minutes. If you were a supervillain, what would your evil plan be?
My evil plan. Is it like can it be like stealing the moon or something like in Despicable Me?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I think I would. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to say something and then people will think badly of me.
Too late.
It has to be silly, right? It has to be
No.
silly. I would give everyone spaghetti for legs.
Give.
I don't know. That's James is gone. He's gone. Now what do we do?
That was a really good answer. That was an answer that I was not expecting. My brain. And how would they get their legs back?
Well, they wouldn't get them back. That's the whole point.
Oh, you're not like. So my thing would be holding the world to ransom.
Oh, okay. So
That's
spaghetti
what I
legs
would
for a
be
while,
doing.
and then you get them
Right.
back.
Provided something happens.
Okay, so that's you're using the spaghetti legs so that something happens, whereas my thing that happens is the spaghetti legs.
Right. And then you're just sitting in your castle giggling because nobody can get up the stairs.
Just walking around because I
Right.
can.
It's particularly maniacal that,
I had a
and
good
I'm
I don't know if you ever play Would You Rather
sure.
with the kids. So my 8-year-old, she did a really good one to me the other day. Normally it's like silly stuff, but she did one. She said, "Would you rather uh only be allowed to watch TV or only be allowed to listen to music for the rest of your life?" So one or the other, not only as in you can't do anything else.
Right.
So music or TV, what are you choosing?
TV.
Is it?
Yeah, I do TV, but is there a caveat that that includes like music videos?
No, not no music videos. No music.
N Now that I don't know. No. See, as I would love if anyone else is in the autistic community, please write in because this is why I fucking hate would you rather questions.
Why?
Because there's no logic to it.
Well, that's the whole point, right? That's why
I
it's
know, and
funny.
and no, that's why it's not funny. Like I think it's right. I think it's just this basic like thing where I'm like, I can't answer that. I can't join you down this thought experiment. I need rules or at least a sort of a world, a reason to be able to understand the system. So in this world that you're proposing, there's no music on TV.
Correct. But yeah, if you've selected that as a choice, I don't know.
If I are there is that see this is what I mean. It's no fun with me. Are there I have too many follow-up questions. If can I listen to movies with music in?
You can't hear the music,
So there's no but what if I choose music?
then you can't see the TV.
Sure, but can I listen to the full soundtrack of a movie, including music, but also the talking bits?
No talking.
So my choices are I can either I've only it's a media question, right? I can only do music,
Hmm.
but no other kind of content,
Correct.
or I don't like it.
What about would you rather have ears for eyes or eyes for ears?
I'm not playing. It really upsets me.
Legs for arms, arms for legs.
I don't like it. I'm not here for this. I'm
Oh,
opting out. I'm unsubscribing from this behavior.
that's a shame.
It's because there's no conversation. You just, it's just like I have to pick an arbitrary thing, and I don't know why I'm picking it.
Hmm. Well, there is when you've got more than 2 minutes, you're in the car or something, then you can talk about it for ages.
No, you can't.
You can really like assess whether eyes for ears or ears for eyes, which one would be better.
Neither.
I'd go with eyes for ears, by the way.
But you'd never see a complete picture.
No, if I had eyes for ears, then I'd only see a complete picture. I just wouldn't hear anything.
No, because it's not how eyes work. They need an overlap to be able to complete a picture.
Oh, your autism is ruining our game.
This is what I'm saying. I can't play the game. I can't do it.
First question for our guest. Eyes
No,
for ears or ears for eyes?
he will probably enjoy it, right? This is this, when people say like, why is it, why don't you like going out and talking to other people? This is why. This, it's too hard.
Should we say who we're talking to, even though it says it in the title?
Uh, we are talking to Kevin Lyman, the founder and operator of the Kevin Lyman Group, who is most famous for the Warped Tour,
Yeah. And he's just entered the green room right on cue as I
because
asked you that.
he is a professional.
Professional. So I'm gonna let Kevin in and we'll see how we go. We're connecting. Hello.
Hey, Matt. Hi, James. How's that?
Uh, Hey, look at that. That was smooth. No technical issues at all.
Awesome. Well, I'm kind of sitting outside. We live in the area where all the fires were in Southern California. So there's a
Right.
lot of construction going on in the area. So this is about the quietest spot right now.
Ah, that's we can hear you perfectly. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. How long have we got of your time today, Kevin?
Uh,
Just so we know.
they they scheduled me for an hour, but
Okay.
whatever that's probably
Yeah,
Perfect.
we.
my
Uh,
voice will go out before then probably today. I've done quite a few things today and teaching class. I teach 5 classes, so
oh
had three,
wow.
and I had three yesterday. A lot of talking, so I teach 5 classes at the University of Southern California. Where are you guys based?
We're in the UK, so sort of near London. James nearer than me.
Well, sending you a little sunshine.
Yes, we've just had pure rain for the whole year.
Ever.
Yeah,
I think 3,000 years,
yeah. My
give or
daughter,
take.
I know it's different, but my daughter goes to school in Ireland, and I guess it's
Okay.
been 40 something days of rain straight or something, and I just keep looking at the forecast, and it looks like it's going to get better, and then it just changes like yeah.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
So
just given
exactly
up.
that.
yeah, so she's
But it looks very nice where you are.
it's we're gonna I know but it's supposed to be record breaking heat, and I'm trying to think what it translates to, but it's supposed to be at not about 93 today.
Oh,
It's too hot for this time of year.
that's hot, right?
Yeah.
Well, I hope you've got a bit of shade on you.
Yeah, I threw up an umbrella, so we're good.
So we'll get cracking if you're comfortable and
Yeah,
ready.
absolutely.
So yeah, welcome to the Emo Dad podcast. Thanks for joining us. We always like to start with the same question with all our guests, and that is, what was your first memory of music?
Gosh, my first memory of music was probably listening to AM radio in Southern California, and Simon and Garfunkel came on.
Okay.
And there was a song, Cecilia. And then I was like, always stuck with me. And I think in 5th grade, we had a talent show. And we went and had that song and we banged on pots and sang to Cecilia. My mom brought a tape deck or something, and played it. But there's a line in there, Cecilia, get down on my knees. I don't know. It was just like when you're 5 years old. I don't know. It was a little maybe on the edge for a 5-year-old talent show. But that's what I remember most, was around that time. My father was also a drummer. He played stand-up drum and things, and he played in. So I remember some of the stuff that he did. It was more marching. He was in the marching band in the
Mm,
military things growing up. But really, it was probably right at just listening to that AM radio and listening to. I think it was Simon and Garfunkel. If it was, there was probably other things, but that stuck in my mind.
that's the one that stuck. And when do you remember when it was that you kind of started getting into, I guess I was going to say alternative music, but kind of guitar music, maybe?
Well, I think around 1979, we were listening to bands, but then in 1979, um, my uh, had a van with a tape deck, an 8-track tape,
Nice, yeah.
and the Knack, My Sharona, just like right around that time in 79. And also, it was the first time we had a punker at school. There's a punk rock guy that came to the school. I
Okay.
lived in a suburb in LA, and he had the coolest punk rock name. His name was Xerox Clone. And it was just, so I got curious about that around that time. And then, living about an hour outside of LA, started hearing about some of that music that was kind of about the LA area. And
Mm,
being the person with the van, I drove people in to go see these bands. And if I
okay.
remember that time, it was the Plimsolls and the Go-Go's and some of those around 80, 81, 82. So I really started getting into music around that time. Kind of that transition from high school. Well, of course, you were listening to music, you were going to dances at school, but really kind of getting into live music. And
Mm,
then the first concert I went to was Van Morrison at the Hollywood Palladium.
okay.
And I didn't know that you weren't supposed to take anything from strangers. And I just remember they put me in the back of a Mustang trunk and drove me home because I was a little out of control. Uh, uh,
We,
with, yeah, but I fell in love with live music. I seriously, those roots, and then started bringing bands out to my school to play. And, just it all started to go from there.
okay, so that I was going to ask you that, and that was kind of my next question. So did you start putting on small shows, were they your first steps into this?
Yeah, I was on an underfunded ski racing team, snow skiing racing team.
Okay.
So I was a ski racer, and I started meeting these bands in LA, and there wasn't really places. This area I went is called Pomona, California. It's east of Los
Mm,
Angeles. Now there's venues out there like the Glass House, Fox. There's a lot of places now, but there was really nowhere for these bands to play. And then I started meeting some local bands from that were in college that kind of leaned towards the mod era of music, the Targets and Chardon Square. And then I was in LA and ran into a band called Fishbone
mm,
and things, and then started figuring out a way. And this might have been my branding I started working on is how do I raise money for my ski team? So we used to rent like fraternity house backyards, and it was 5 bands for $5, all the beer you could drink. And then when
nice.
the beer ran out, we'd call the police on our own show, kind
Really?
of, like,
To make people leave.
yeah, and you had to get the place cleaned up. And then I started realizing that, well, the beer, I got in trouble for selling beer. They said you can't sell beer. So
Yep.
I found a beer company that had mugs. They were souvenir mug. They were like promo mugs, and they didn't know what to do with them. So I took them all and I started selling the mugs for $5 and giving the beer away for free.
Giving the beer
So,
free, yeah.
so we were always trying to figure out how to stay. Now, you would be totally shut down by the internet now, but no one we flew under the radar.
Yep.
Mm.
And then the biggest show I did at that point was there was a bunch of punk bands and alternative bands from LA. And somehow through all the network of ski teams, and it was all the universities in Southern California, we threw a Halloween party at the Ontario International Airport. And we rented a hangar. And this is back when you could actually get out on the runways. And we actually shut the runway down because people were running across the runway to get to this party because it got so big. And somehow I had the beer truck with 60 kegs of beer. I convinced them to bring the beer truck with the taps on the side.
Yeah.
And we had it inside the warehouse. And we actually shut down that airport because some people were running across in their like ghost costumes or whatever they were wearing to the and I don't know how we did that. It was pre-social media, but we had this network through all these ski teams who are usually a little bit more social on the campuses. So
Mm.
they got all the ski clubs involved. And we had kids from about 8 universities that showed up at this, and we literally the highway patrol, and then we just all ran out. We put like ghost masks on ourselves and like ran out the door, and they had no idea. No one knew who was actually behind the show because, of course, we signed the paperwork with fake names, and this is before they checked up on you. And then we kind of went back and cleaned up and it was, I was challenged by that. I had fun. It was like this exciting time. Then as so many people do when they graduate college and with a degree I had was basically allowed me to be the lifeguard at the pool.
Mm.
Uh, I went to Hawaii and I was working in Hawaii at a weight loss camp for girls. And
Okay.
then decided I needed to come back, and I came because it was really hard. It was great, but I came back and someone said, "Hey, you were pretty good at running those shows. You actually paid attention." They needed a stage manager at a club in Long Beach, California called Fender's Ballroom. It was a kind of a notorious venue, and I started working in a scene of music that was kind of that punkabelly era, Lone Justice, the Blasters, those kind of bands. And then they co-promoted a show with Golden Voice. And if your fans don't know, Golden Voice is the a large promoter on the West Coast that Gary Tovar, who started that, was he was also the largest marijuana distributor on the West Coast at that point. So he was funding his love of music by bringing bands over. So he brought over like Susie and the Banshees and GBH and all these bands from the UK to have them play for him. And just and uh and I was allowed to run the shows. And he
Okay.
gave me the tools to be able to be the first guy that could get the band's catering and get the proper sound systems. Now he wasn't worried about making money because he was laundering money, but it gave me the roots. Now I was smart enough, maybe that college education, to kind of figure out something was up here.
Yeah.
So when it all went crashing down, I had a legitimate business by then called Kevin Lyman Production
Mm.
Services. So
Wow. What a journey from going to those small shows to the airport hangar. How many people were in this airport hangar?
Oh, probably about 3,000. It
Oh
was
my God.
crazy. It was insane. It was a giant private aviation hangar. And
Yeah.
I don't know how, with no security. I don't think we had any security. It was just friends and we had a wonderful time.
What was the kind of journey between doing those shows in California and then you kind of decided, right, time to do my own thing. How did that kind of get you to the Warp Tour?
Well, I was working up to 320 shows a year. But
Okay.
I had a pretty good reputation. I had a great reputation actually for taking care of the bands. So
Mm,
that kind of spilled over into that skate culture a little bit when they were doing events. They would need someone that could maybe, you know, get the crew, build the ramps, put up the lights, the sound. Those events like the Swatch Impact, the Vision Skate Escape, the Holiday Havoc, all these things were kind of bubbling in California. And, I convinced the Red Hot Chili Peppers to play on top of a skate ramp for $250 at a big skate contest for Vision once. And um, so I was kind of blending this action sports world. We were doing charity events, Board Aid, boarding for breast cancer, where we would have a board across and bands in the snow, and you'd go up in the mountains, and it was so the lifestyle was kind of growing. In that time, also, I went out on. I was the first stage manager of Lollapalooza when it was a touring festival in 1991. All these bands knew me from LA. So when they were looking to go on the road, they asked the people that they thought did a good job within that scene of music. It always stuck with me. Try to find people that are passionate about the music
hmm
and they're going to work really hard because they believe so much in that sound. And they brought me. I'd never been on the road. I was lucky to survive because I was around all these old rock and roll roadies, the ones that are stereotypical that you see in all those movies.
Yeah.
They didn't want young people that wanted to do something different. So, but I learned a lot. I watched how these big operations run. And then, about 1995, I was up in that snow at one of those events and heard about the X Games
hmm
that was coming to America. And I go, wow, this stuff we're doing on the West Coast and maybe in Florida and certain pockets is going to become relevant. And maybe someone should do this who lives that lifestyle versus me working for Coca-Cola or something producing an event for them. And I felt that at that point, it would be the last thing I did in the music business. I just wanted to go across the country one time, bring my skater friends, bring some of my underrepresented bands like Sublime and No Doubt. Because I saw indie music with Seaweed and hardcore that if we could all go tour together and be that we were pretty close philosophically,
mm
sound wise, we were a little different. We just wanted to change things. And if I could bring them under one roof, maybe we could go out one time and do this across the country.
mm.
And we, we were lucky to, I kind of threw it all out. Just, I had just, you're called Punk Rock Emo Dad is your show. And, there's been punk rock dad movies, but this is right at the time when I had my first child. It was
Okay.
coming in
Oh wow.
1995. And I was like, wow, maybe I need to go get that new, that typical job, the nine to
Yeah.
five, get a check every 2 weeks, some stability, because I was working, but it was just like, it was a grind. And I was out until 2 o'clock in the morning every night. And it was, I said, I'm going to go do this one time and see if I do it completely different. It was so different. Everyone maybe thought I was trying to duplicate what was already done that that's when bands like Pennywise and No Effects started calling, wow, we got to do this. We hear this thing's crazy. We got to be part of that, you know? So got the chance in 96. I was lucky enough to connect with Vans who knew me maybe through those events I'd been part
hmm
of and had the meeting and they became the Vans Warp Tour in 1996. It gave me some financial resources to get to year three. Because in year two, the promoters weren't going to pay you any money. You had to go out and help them earn the money back they lost in 1995. So
Right.
Vans helped me get to that third year, and we saw the growth then, and people got excited about Warp Tour. And instead of me begging bands to be on it, it was like people started calling like-minded friends of mine were like, we got to do this now. The Bad Religions, those bands, and
hmm
and then it just kind of became this like I don't know 25 years goes very fast, you know
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
and we were able to, I was able to raise a family in this business. And I always say, like, some people, people won't believe when I say it wasn't about the money. It was 90% about the culture of what I believed in.
Hmm.
And if you could do that and you put your heart and soul and you have the foundation to do that, the 10% becomes the fiscal responsibility of a project. And then, I was able to do that. And my God, after 25 years, I thought I'd done everything I could with that project and had the opportunity to become a university professor.
Quite the journey.
Yeah. And now I'm
Well,
back.
yeah, do you remember the first band that you booked for Warped Tour?
The first band that I would have booked for it was Quicksand.
Okay,
I
not
Nice.
think
bad,
they were
not bad.
I think they were the first band to confirm.
Right.
And then shortly after that, they had some credibility in this, they were kind of the biggest band that year coming out. Then I was able to go to friends who I'd met on Lollapalooza and worked in the clubs. Most of the other bands were people I'd worked in the venues with. They knew who I was,
Mm.
being Sublime, No Doubt, um, L7, those type of bands. No Use for a Name. There's a big West Coast presence, but we also wanted some East Coast bands. So we had Civ and we had Orange 9mm. So it wasn't going to be just a niche of music traveling around. It was going to hopefully tie the pieces together. Um, Probably in a different time, we wouldn't have made it past the first two shows. The tour would have been canceled, but we managed to stagger around the country. We do shows where we just show up and promoter forgot that we were coming and we just set up and do it ourselves. And yeah, in Denver, one time we showed up and like I think they sent their interns out to help run the show. And one thing they forgot to do was order concessions. So we got a barbecue and started cooking hot dogs and Cokes and selling them to the fans out front for $1 each. And then when the promoter called me to scream at me about how much that he lost money on the show and what the hell was this stupid thing, I said, thanks for the bonus. We made an extra $1,000 selling hot dogs to the kids. We staggered around the country that first year, but I think people saw that there was something there,
Yeah, yeah, for
something
sure.
there.
And there certainly was. I'm going to hand over to James now for some
Yeah.
more questions.
What your your attitude isn't just listen to your story. Your attitude is incredible. You always seem to be able to want to and able to deliver on things other people wouldn't even consider.
It's
And
listening,
is that the key?
realizing you don't know everything. I
Right.
I think I think in our business, egos start to get in the way. And I think
Right.
I learned that it was time to listen to others. We're all young and we all think we know everything, but I was always observant. I watched, and I always say, people go, you watch things. Didn't you listen to things? I go, I was always listening, but I watched the fans singing along to those songs. I still do. It may not
Interesting.
be the music that I'm listening to right now, but if they're singing as passionately as I was in 1979 or 1980 to those bands, who am I not to try to build a platform, an umbrella of Warped Tour to give them a chance? If someone has an idea for a nonprofit, you got to be able to listen and become a curator more than there's times you have to step up and be a benign dictator. I also learned that sometimes you have to just you've got to make a decision right or wrong and make it and live and
Sure.
die by it. But I also learned to probably listen a lot more. And I think that's the problem in our industry. We don't listen to others. We think we know it all.
Ah, that's a really interesting point, and also your point about ego, because one of the things that being in the UK, we didn't have that much exposure to Warped Tour. Obviously, it comes over here, but it was a
Yeah.
thing we would read more about in Kerrang, and being over here and being obsessed with the bands, we would obsessively read about the bill and what was going on at the Warped Tour. And the thing that I still find bananas is the randomized bill, the lineup that was different every time. Could you
Yeah.
just talk about that, where that idea came from and how you made that work?
Well, that came from being on Lollapalooza. And at
Right.
1:20 in the afternoons, and I'm sure you're familiar with Henry Rollins.
Yes.
Henry Rollins was in Black Flag, and Henry Rollins was one of the most intense performers you would ever see. The man was about to explode on stage every time he went.
Right.
And I would get him on at 1:20 in the afternoon. and he played till 1:50 he had a half-hour set. And that tour was playing some traditional amphitheaters as well as some fields. So
Okay.
many times he was playing to a vast sea of empty seats because people were coming later to see the headliners. Sometimes when we were in a field, there'd be a group of kids that would be there to see him and be able to get up on the barricade.
Sure.
I was used to working in venues with no barricades, being from the clubs and venues. And I was like, always sit there and think, wouldn't it be cool if Henry Rollins played right between Susie and the Banshees and Jane's Addiction one night? He
Right.
would have exploded those people's heads.
Hmm.
The fans' heads would, and where would have that taken his career? Because
Right.
they all would have walked back into their communities and said, "Holy crap!" And that's what Warped Tour, it's hard. People said even coming back now, you can't randomize the bill. I said, I'm going to try it. We're going to do it. I
Mm.
don't see why not. And
Right.
In Long Beach, we opened door. We were supposed to open at 11 o'clock in the morning, and there was 45,000 people in the door at 11 a.m.
Because of the random bill.
They wanted to run and see the balloon blow up, and I mean,
Right.
I'm getting goosebumps right now from those moments in each city because the fans just zoned in, but they also brought along a younger generation to Warped. It wasn't a nostalgia play. There was, of
Right.
course, your old fans. You want to take care of your old fans. But for me, it's about looking forward to the future of bands, brands, community. So to know that, through what we find, 30% of the people that came to Warped had never been to a festival or potentially a concert.
Oh, wow.
So
Interesting. And you would only know that by talking to them and listening. To
listening,
your earlier point.
I spent my whole day walking around the venue, just talking to
In
people.
Right.
And we
Amazing.
also have now data that kind of backs up some of the
Sure.
stuff. We do a questionnaire. Um, but if we turned on 30% of those people that came to Warped, to that Warped culture, maybe 10% of them are going to go out, start a start a brand, work for a nonprofit, do something in their community. Because post-pandemic, people, excuse my computer. I got my cat is attacking the computer. So every time it goes like this, he's
That's
ramming, he's backing up 5 feet and running into it with his head full on right now. Um, so, uh, so,
it's
so,
fine. Don't worry.
yeah. So, Carlos, get out of here. So it's a really, it was really interesting. Now, I know to some of those older Warped fans, the show was very big. It was a
Right.
lot of walking. Their feet hurt. We got a lot of
Hmm.
complaints about feet hurting, and
Really?
I apologize. But but I and it might not be for them. You have to
Sure.
some people can go to festivals for other, but there's points in time where festivals are not for the faint of heart. It's a long day.
It's
You're
exhausting.
Yeah.
there. That's when you go sit in the Greek theater and sit in a seat and a box and have a glass of wine or something. But
Mhm.
festivals, it's a workout, and if you haven't done them in a while, I was exhausted, I was tired after those weekends. But I think I'm really vesting in these younger artists. There's so much diversity in punk rock right now and
Mhm.
alternative. There's so much, it's just cool. It's kind of what you wish that we had maybe back then that we had. It's so nice to see so many different people playing this music that was so important to so many.
Mm.
Yeah. Coming back to it, has and this is probably Matt's going to hate me because I'm going off script. Has the internet changed the way you book or plan the festival?
I think it's more the way we market it.
Interesting.
The internet is the way we market it. Look,
Okay.
when the internet really started taking over, I'm very admitted, I made some mistakes. I felt that everyone deserved an answer on the internet. I realized quickly that you could put information out, but you can't debate. You could try to educate, but you can't really educate. And I
Correct.
tried. I believe because punk rock was a face-to-face discussion with people. All of a sudden you had to start realizing that the internet thrives on negativity sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And you have to stay on point with what you do. I'll always
Right.
admit, when you're taking on this big a project in life, no one's going to do what I did, and no one has not made a mistake. Um,
Correct.
I made some mistakes over time. I learned from my mistakes. I believe that we can learn from mistakes as long as they're not so egregious, like murder, super. You can't learn if you go over a certain edge. Over here, we're now talking about how everything leads to Epstein. It's like
Right.
you know, but there's the some people, their lives, that if you bought completely into his program, yeah, you deserve what you get.
Yeah.
If you get an email or talk to him at some point, is that enough to destroy someone's life? I don't know. That's for people to judge. But I learned from that. Um, but the internet has really allowed us in social media is now we're using it as that artist development tool. My show's all about that artist development, and
Hmm.
these videos that we release, and probably while we're talking another video will be released, is about educating people on bands. And it takes time. It's easy to throw up a poster and put a bunch of names, but being a university professor, I ask people all the time, how many lines of a poster do you look at before you judge a festival? And the average person says two.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They read two lines and they start
Oh,
to
wow.
form their opinion about a festival.
Do you know,
Being,
do you know how we do it? Because we've got a rule.
yeah.
What we do, or we used to do, is we used to say how much could I go and see that band for individually? And then if there were enough bands that I wanted to see individually and it added up, I'd go.
Well, then on your model, we deliver a good value at
Definitely.
$150, or
That's why I was obsessed with it, because I was like, what a show.
well, that would be pounds for you. So that would be about 190 pounds
Yeah.
for
Right,
festival. Um, so, it's more how we market and how we
right.
communicate. And we've learned you do that now. It can't be overreactive. You've got to
Sure.
build a plan. We're looking at we relaunched our social media again because we kind of blew it up after the Warp Tour ended. And we're starting to see I think, I don't know, everyone's obsessed with number. It's like 2 million people now are starting to
Mm.
are following Warped on all the platforms. Each
Wow.
each platform's approaching 2 million. So you can communicate in a different way with them. So these band videos we do this year, the bands bought right in. The first year, you kind of like, okay, we're doing, oh, and it was slow. Now it's like, I think by the end of it, we had 240 band videos loaded right now. And then
Wow.
there'll still be the poster come up at the end with some additions that didn't do, that's fine. And I don't know, you have to be able to communicate with your audience more as frequently and thoughtfully as possible. We're doing a thing tonight at the Anaheim Ducks, which is a professional hockey team here in the States.
Okay.
We're doing a collab with them. I'm actually going to DJ tonight. And
Nice.
we got a collab shirt with them. One of our bands, we're announcing, this is not airing live or tonight.
No.
We'll be announcing Thrice tonight. They're going to be playing
Very
at the
nice.
hockey game.
Wow.
So how do we're doing a free show in Florida this weekend, and we just had one band couldn't do it. So the Oxymorons are jumping on a flight from New York to go play this free show down so in Orlando this weekend for us. You
Love
know,
that.
that I think, that's what makes me excited.
Right.
That's what's making me excited that, you know, these bands they're taking advantage of these. We present them opportunities, and and that's all they want. These young bands just need opportunities, you know. Um, and I think we're having fun with it. Those free events we do now, community events, and we'll see. It was, I think, anomaly the first year that we sold out without announcing a band. It was like, but we're selling fine. We'll get there. It's not as quick this year, but every day more tickets just keep selling and word of mouth, and it's going to be a price that people can afford,
Hmm.
and you can come down and explore. And I think for that older crowd, sometimes they become disconnected from music because their lives change. They can't keep up with
Right.
music. But Warped is that platform that you can go get all the greatest bands within 2 days, and then you feel young again.
Yeah. And
I
I
know that, man.
yeah, for sure. Um, just kind of take it. Speaking of kind of that authenticity or that connection you have with those bands or people coming to get connection with bands. How do you balance that against sort of the pull or the reality of the big corporate sponsorship that must be around or must be tempting to get
We
more involved with?
we try to blend them. Warped has always been. I've been a corporate sellout forever. When people
Right.
say you sold out, I'm like, yeah, I guess I did. But I also early in my life realized that we support these brands,
Yes.
buy their products. It's very hard to say do not support a corporation.
Right.
My early model was let me go figure out how to get money from these to have fun with my friends. And so
Right.
and now it's getting a little more sophisticated, but it was very simple. And my life's pretty simple. I keep it pretty simple. If I could bring this money in, I can keep the ticket price down.
Right.
And that was the whole model. We kept the ticket price down because of those corporate partnerships. Now, when you have those corporate partnerships, you have to try to make them blend into the culture you did. So that'd be that early days. It might be, I don't know, T-Mobile phones and Hurley made their uniform, you know,
Right.
for their staff. Just try to integrate. Sometimes we'd have, I remember we had, I think it was Samsung. And how do you have Samsung as part of a punk rock tour? Well, you have you have a Shepard Fairey, a kind of a famous cultural artist, create posters of Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance as superheroes, kind of, and in their hand they had a Samsung phone. Now,
Right.
those bands were paid a little bit of money to support those brands on site. It helped them pay for their buses or vehicles or things that they maybe
Sure.
couldn't get for support. And everyone would sign those posters. These are ideas I'd have to constantly come up with because you wouldn't go back to your dorm room or your bedroom at home and hang a picture of a phone, a Samsung phone. But if you could have
Right.
Gerard Way as a superhero, subliminally holding a Samsung
Yeah.
phone signed by him,
Hmm.
that's a different relationship.
Right.
Fast fast forward to this year. Um, through my partnership with Insomniac, they have access to different sponsors would be coming to them. About 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks from outside of Orlando, they came and said, Geico, which is an insurance company over here,
Okay.
wants to be involved in Warp Tour. And living in an area that just went through all these fires, there's not a lot of
Mm,
people happy with their insurance companies. Mine's been
sure.
fine. I understand their side and everything. So I was like, okay, Geico. They have a cool lizard over here. They have a lizard mascot.
Hmm.
Right.
He's kind of cool. Maybe they could bring the lizard. And then it was like, okay, Geico. Maybe we do this canned food drive. We do the canned food drive before the show.
Nice.
Our government was right during that period was threatening to take SNAP benefits, which are assistance programs, away from people.
That's right.
I'm like, we're going to have a canned food drive. They're taking food away. How do we motivate people to bring more food? And how do we bring people to raise some money? So I had implemented a $20 guest list ticket. You pay $20, it goes to charity if you're on the guest list. You get a
Right.
2-day pass, but you can afford $20 to charity.
Sure.
I asked Geico, we talked to them and said, why don't we match any donations from the industry or guest list? We'll match it for the local food bank. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So if you're coming for a free ticket and we say we need a $20 donation, one, you should just give it because we're going to use it for good. But we
Mm.
said all of a sudden we said it's going to be matched by Geico, so doing good in the community. People were donating $50 and $100. That's cool. I want to help locally because it was such a topical thing. And then about 2 weeks out, they said we want to have a drone show. Now, drone shows and Warp Tour, you can find the video. It's really beautiful. That was not known at Warp Tour, but we were at nighttime. So I was
Right.
like, I said, can we make the drone show connect to our nonprofit for the food drives that they're now supporting? So the drone goes up, the lizard's on a skateboard carrying, it looked like two Budweiser cans, but he's carrying two cans. And he comes up and drops them in a box with the logo of the charity. And we put up their website in drone. So it connected.
Yeah.
So if you can connect these brands, we had Wyndham Resorts. They own resorts all over the country. They were a sponsor. Now I thought they could stand out a little weird. It was the end in November. I said, hey, a lot of these bands will have a vacation coming up. It's going to
Mhm.
be a break during the holidays. Let's have video games backstage and activities that the bands could do, and the winner gets a trip to the Wyndham Resort for him and their family, or
Right.
her and family. And we did that. So that ties it in. So all the bands were like, I got to win a Wyndham Resort. You know, that works when you do that. Some people will still say, hey, it's not for everyone. Like I'm sure I got my critics. That's fine. But I do what I think is best for the community that has been allowed me to be part of it for almost 47 years now.
But that's it. You find the creative, fun, but also makes sense activity that
Yeah.
brings these two things together and make it happen. It's not a purist position of we'll never take it, we'll never sell merch. We're Fugazi. We're not going to do that. And
Oh,
I think that just means things don't. It's a lot harder to make things happen if with
well,
that attitude.
me, me and Ian Mackay are good friends. Like, well, we're very court. Well, I was close, but we run into people. I tend to run into them at Lollapalooza.
Right.
And and we would talk. And at one point, everyone's like, Fugazi and Warp Tour. I go, well, Fugazi doesn't play for any more than $6, I think it was, or even at that point.
Right.
And my ticket's 15.50. That's where I've learned my economic model did not match up with him. We have a
Right.
lot, and his doesn't match up with me. We can respect each other.
Yeah.
We understood each other. We just had a different model for what we did. That's an easy discussion we have now with my person who works with me on booking. Warped is open to bands who want to play.
Great.
Bands have used it as a platform to go up, and bands have used it to come back and reconnect. But we have to make sure our economic models match up. Now, certain bands that people ask to be on Warped Tour, their economic model has now changed. And that's great.
Yeah.
That means they had some level of success, maybe, their economic model changed. My economic model is that $150 ticket and delivering what we do.
Hmm.
It just doesn't match up. It's not a negative thing, it's just reality.
Mhm.
And who knows, in a year, it might match up.
Right. It's
You
just
know,
not today.
just not today. So
Yeah.
it's really one of those things that, you know, this business, we make it very complicated. I think people make it complicated. It's not that complicated. Society, we make everything so complicated. But
Hmm.
I also come from a production background where my role was I had to exhaust every yes before I said no. That's what my job was. I had to exhaust. I can do this. I can. Oh no, we
Right.
can't. I want to build this stage on top of a mountain. Oh my God, it might not go. Oh, I got to exhaust that. Maybe there's a snowcat that can carry these pieces up there. My job was to say, and
Got
then
it.
if it became impossible, then you say no. Society comes from a position all the time where they start with no, whether that's bureaucracy,
Sure.
everything starts with a no, and you have to convince them of yes.
Right. Exactly. Can do if. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when you go in with that model, and everyone I work with has that model, we're going, literally, this band canceled that couldn't play. Singer sick in Orlando. Someone on the team just jumped in, literally in 30 minutes, is getting oxymorons on a plane within 30 minutes. They agreed to come down and do the show for us.
Yeah.
Plus,
Right.
maybe, well, plus it's probably easy to get people to jump on a plane from New York and go to Florida. So there might be a little bit of that, like, get me the hell out of here, I'm frozen vibe. But, you know, there's like, people,
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I'm gonna pass back to. How's your voice, by the way? You okay?
I'm hanging in.
Okay. Good.
I'm also allergic to cats. So
Oh no.
we have, we
Oh
have,
my God.
we have two of them, and we have some of them living in our backyard since the fire. So,
Oh, of
Ah.
course.
yeah.
Um, so obviously, I mean, I was just thinking, you've probably worked with more bands than anyone on the planet, I would argue. Have you got any favorite bands from over the years
Well,
that you really love?
I always wanted to book bands that you want something that feeds your soul. So
Hmm.
you were always going to hear some influences that I loved. You were going to always have of course, Rancid. If they were on Warped, I put everything down and went and watched them play. Um, Now, when you come back to this year, a band like Hepcat or a band like the Agro Lights, those kind of feed my soul a little bit too. And I think if we could expose those bands to a new generation, people will latch on to that type of music. For me, it was really last year. It took me 20 something years to get Dance Hall Crashers back together. I wanted them together. I told Elise, you got to get together. It took me over 20 years of telling her that and I finally told her, hey, Elise, I'm going to ask you one more time. I'm bringing Warp Tour back. I want you to be on this show. I thought you were a great band. I think people are going to love it. And it was funny. I just saw Dance Hall Crashers announcing some other shows now. So they not only got back together, but they're doing weekends now. And they're not
They
going to go on a
enjoyed it.
2 month tour, but they enjoyed it and had so much fun because they brought so much joy. Their show brought joy to people. So I'm really glad that maybe a new generation's catching on to them.
And have you got any favorite eras? Obviously, punk and alternatives gone through many different kind of genre shifts over the years. Any
I like
favorites?
I like the shift. Now, this is where I get in trouble. I like that shift when pop punk came in.
Yeah,
Right.
I love that, Blink and Sum 41 and Simple Plan
yeah.
and those type of bands, I love that, I just had Tyson from All American Rejects in my class the other day. And I love that era, and for me, honestly, and maybe it was just my age or my taste, era of screamo. I wasn't
Hmm.
booking for myself. I was curating for others, and those kids were singing and as passionate as I was to those other bands. Now we're just in this really cool era of, I so glad to see so many females taking the lead of the scene
Yeah.
and really
Hmm.
it right now. Um, I'm glad that we have that going on. I'm excited. I don't know, like when I talk to you guys and it's a lot of work, I'm at an age where I should be putting my feet up on a Friday afternoon and I'm going to be getting ready to go drive through traffic an hour and a half to get down to a hockey game and see where that all goes tonight, but I'm very fortunate to have opportunities the way I do.
How do you manage, or you and your team manage to? You always seem to be kind of slightly ahead of the curve in an ever-changing scene. How do you manage to do that?
Listen, that's what I go back to,
You
listening.
listen,
I was
yeah.
I was just at a conference where it was about festivals. It's called Fest Forums, and I did 2 speaking sessions there. But I go and walk by every booth and I listen to people. They'll come up and talk to you for an hour afterwards, hour and a half. And people said, "You always give that time." And I go, and there was a group that called Tag Mix that came up to me and really sparked my interest. And we just got off the phone right before I talked to you. It's basically high level audio that people can get direct from the stage onto their phones while they're mixing their personal videos because the
Okay.
audio usually is so bad. So I listen, I come back with 40 ideas, and then I go to my team and say, I think these 4 might have a place with us this summer. Can't bring everything with you. And that's kind of the role I get to play now, especially. I'm down in the weeds. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking at loading dock size. I'm looking at labor calls, but I'm trying to look at how to bring new things and be open-minded. Many, many years ago, there was a thing called MySpace. And
Right.
Yeah.
this guy named Tom called me up and said, "Hey, I want to be at the Warp Tour." And I said, "Sure, a booth is $100." He goes, "Man, I'm just starting out. I don't have any money." I go, "Sure, come on down, set up." A year later, he was a 6-figure sponsor of Warped
Yeah.
Tour as a
He,
thank
he,
you.
he he did all right.
I then I then produced their Dodger Stadium show birthday party after 2 years. We were the only tour that they ever supported financially because everyone needed
Wow.
so bad. So you do those little things. I mean, going even farther back, there was a thing called Napster,
Mm.
Right.
and Sean Fanning and Sean Parker were Warp Tour fans. They came to Warp Tour in San Francisco and they were telling me about Napster and everything. And I was managing Less Than Jake at the time. And I go, whoa, this is something cool. But we were teaching a generation to steal music at that point. So
Right.
I went into Capitol Records and I told the president, I said, we should put a song on Napster as a promo item. Got thrown out of the building. And I turned to Vinny from Less Than Jake and I said, man, don't if they don't know this is the future, they're all going to they're going to and then later on in life, and I'm not, that you never know. One time I get a lawyer calling me and saying, "Hey, Kevin, you're Kevin Lyman, right?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, Sean Fanning and Sean Parker had written shares of a new company they started and given it to you within their original deck. I don't know if you ever saw, but we just sold the company and we'd like to send you a check as a thank you."
Wow.
So do a lot of things, just do them because it feels right.
Yep.
But
Yep.
and that's it comes back in my life often. You never know when, you never expect them, and you don't expect it in any way. So often someone now just goes, "Hey, you help my company, or you help me, you listen to me. I got an idea. I want to bring you in on or something."
Mm. That's amazing, and it's kind of like that paying it forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you do good, and then good things happen to yourself as well. Um, are there any bands that have played over the years that have gone on to become massive that surprised you?
No, if I book them, I'll hope they're going to get become massive,
I
to be
suddenly
honest.
thought I
That's the
suddenly thought you'd
goal.
say that.
Some there's some that just you didn't become massive and you don't know what reason that was. It might have been
Okay.
Right.
time, it might have been timing, it might have been
Yep.
actually interpersonal relationships of a band, it might have been bad management, a bad label. So there's a lot of those stuff, but hey, minute I got a song, listened to Katy Perry and I was doing a movie and I needed a song. And I bought the song for $500 for the movie. It was a cover of a Outfield song, Use Your Love Tonight. And then the guy played You're So Gay to me. I go, I want her on Warped Tour. And he goes, What are you talking about? I go, she's as punk as anyone. Just get a
Mm.
feeling sometimes. And
Right.
I think that feeling comes from working in those clubs 320 nights a year, watching 3 to 8 bands every night,
Yep.
watching. So you pick up pretty quick. Now with these younger bands, I'm not as tuned in because I'm not working in the clubs and everything, but I can still visualize a song. When I hear it, I
Hmm.
start visualizing it. Where is this going to go in a live setting?
Right.
And then I want to give it a shot to come and be part of it and see if they could pull it off live in the same way that I think it's going to connect on an emotional and psychological level on a fan.
How many people have you got in the team kind of feeding music to the festival?
It's really me and Amanda.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Amanda's great. When I went over with Insomniac, they gave me a full-time booker. She comes from the rock space.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's a still very small team. Now there's a lot of feeders to that team, but on the booking side, it's Amanda and myself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amanda has a great ability to have relationships with a lot of the agents and people that I necessarily don't have time to have lunch or things with. But we text all day long. Check out this music. Check out this thing. Oh my God, this is kind of cool. Let's see where this goes. When during that booking time, I mean, we still talk every day. Maureen, who started on Warp Tour passing out drinks and food in the catering line, is my head person in partnerships and sponsorships over at Insomniac. I worked on it with Nathan Hubbard on some Mayhem, that other metal project I was on. So many people on the team with Warped all grew up around Warped. They all have now.
Mm. It feels like a real family
Yeah,
organization.
yeah, they bicker and fight just like any family.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I guess it's my role. I always said with the bands, I toured with my peers when I started, and then either I became a mentor or disciplinarian later on.
Right.
I'm going to hand over to you, James.
Are you? We're so off piste. So when you see that was a skiing reference for those who have
Yes,
just been watching. See, I'm
we're out of
jumping
bounds.
back.
You were listening.
We've gone under the ropes.
I'm always there. I'm always there. So I guess let's bring it back to the present day. Are you very excited for this year? Do you Yeah, how are you feeling about it all?
I feel great. Adding the Mexico show and adding the
Uh-huh.
Montreal show, especially in a time when there's so much discourse, this static of our
Right.
between our countries. It's static. It's real, but it's static of a group of people. Canadians have always been amazing people.
Right.
People from Mexico are amazing people. I've met so many of them. It's nice to be able to bring them together under the banner of Warp Tour and music again.
Right.
So those message boards to me are exciting when I open them up, and they're in Spanish and
Hmm.
they're in French. Now they may be cussing me out in French, but it's still in French. Cool, you know? Um, and you
Right.
have and I've seen a lot of the fans are being kinder to each other. I think a little bit of that social media negativity came out the first year, but we overcame it. You know,
Hmm.
now people are very respectful of the bands being announced and like, oh, I'll check them out. I don't know who they are, but wow, let's check them out. It's versus these instant people are taking time to process, slowing down. We need to slow everything down a little bit. We need to life in general needs to slow down a little
Mm.
bit. And I think
Right.
the way we're doing it, um, you know, it's the way I think we should do it. And the people around me support it and work really hard to make that happen.
As a UK-based podcast, would you ever consider bringing it back to the UK for the? What was your experience like of those sort of Warped Tour extension events we had over here in the past?
The early ones were we would have a tent at Reading. We started in the
Mm.
smallest tent at Reading
Right.
in Leeds. And at that point it was all shoegazer bands. It was Oasis, Blur, Lush, those type of bands. We brought punk rock back into that festival, I really believe. We showed up with our skateboard ramp. Oh my God, they were so mean to us. They tortured us, you know, cold showers, no food. You know, we set up our own stuff. But then when the band started playing and that small tent almost tipped over,
Yeah.
Right.
Vivian and the people that behind that festival started paying attention. And I said, look, I need help. If we don't get
Yeah.
on the ferry tonight to go to Pukkelpop or Lowlands, I can't come back. And next thing you know, they're out there helping me load the skateboard ramp, the owners of Reading Festival.
Wow. That's
And then the
cool.
next year we got moved to the next tent. The next year to the
Hmm.
and by the time we stopped going, we were in the biggest tent, and I think it might have been, I don't know if it was Robert Plant or Led Zeppelin playing over there and Bad Religion over here.
Yeah, that's right. It was it was I remember. Yeah, it was
And our tent was, and of course our tent was tipping over again. You know, there was
yeah.
always and and then those bands started getting offers. I was managing Less Than Jake. They started getting those main stage offers
Main
or those
stage.
big
Right.
Yep.
stage offers. So I had done my job. I reintroduced that music. And
Right.
then
And it took over the festival, like because they were then our formative years. It was a skate punk festival.
and then I couldn't afford the bands. They were all getting paid good money, which is great. That's what I want them to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Of
then
course.
we went away for a while, and it took someone like Mark Walker, who worked for Kilimanjaro,
Okay.
as a big fan of Warped Tour, came many years just as a fan. I think he said it was like 8 or 9 years before he approached me
Wow.
and said, "Hey, I think we could do this." So that's when we came back and did the shows at Ali Pali,
That's right.
and and then he became my point to take it back into the EU, and we did that run around the EU a
That's
couple
right.
times. But that was Mark Walker because I also realized you need to have someone as passionate about the project as you were. So
Sure.
giving them, oh, whoops, sorry guys,
You're okay.
that was a blindsided
This is a
attack
big
coming
one.
from a different direction. Um, that he took control of it in that area, and he really
Right.
worked with me and did. You know, you have to empower him. Right now, I have Miguel in Mexico City. Grew up a Warped kid, super passionate. It's his he's hanging his hat on that with the company he works with, Ocesa. Ocesa does EDC, they do Pink, they'll go Coldplay.
Wow.
But as a young person at the company, he said, I'm going to bring Warped. And they said, we've taught about it, but I never felt comfortable enough until I met him to empower him to lead this brand down there.
Ah, that's so interesting. So it's as you say, it's about making that connection with somebody that passionate that you
Absolutely.
feel you can make the thing happen.
Yeah, they're just not booking another show.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I know the guys in Slam Dunk have done a good job. Kind of, they came to Warp Tour and ran with it with Slam Dunk. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good we like a bit more of the Warped Tour chaos, Slam Dunk guys, if you're listening.
Yeah.
That would be good. But yeah, it's a great festival. And we definitely got to say that because they were very kind enough to invite us down. So
Yeah,
it was yeah, it
you know,
was a
they've
good
done a lot.
festival.
They've done a lot to keep that music going over there.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time. You've been very generous with us, giving us these great stories and your energy. Is there anything else you'd like to mention or talk about
Well,
that we can
you
help
know,
promote for you?
hopefully you guys can come out to Orlando next year. It's a good time to get away from the UK around November. We had quite a few of the our UK friends come down. You could come down and broadcast live from the show if you want, or whatever you want to do. Just let Ali. I'm really pushing to let people come down and tap into the community while we're there. When we gather 100
Amazing.
and 150 bands and all this culture. So I said, reach out to all the podcasts. Let's get them in the mix now. They're like the
Ah,
new fan. They're like the new fanzines.
we are. Yeah. Well, if you
Yeah.
can provide factor 130,000 sunblock, I'm in.
Hey, we
I don't
we
need
will
that.
we will come up with something. We'll give you a big dwarf hat that
That's
says
what I need.
from the
It
UK. You
correct.
know?
Can do if it's a
It-
meter wide sombrero, I'm in.
yeah, we're gonna. That's what. Good merch idea. See, I listen.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
I'm already hitting
Right?
my merch person. No.
Ginger people need extra support, and we're down.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thanks, James. Thanks, Matt.
It's
Thanks
been
for
a
having me
pleasure.
on the show. Best of success, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Hope the
take
show
care and
goes well tonight.
enjoy the
Thank you.
ice hockey.
Thank
All
you.
right.
See
Take
you.
care.
I could listen all day long to that man.
It's such a whirlwind. And I love it. I love it. I love it. As you say, I felt like we got one point zero nano of the stories that you could get from that person.
You could, yeah, you could lit hours and hours and hours and hours. I'm like frantically looking at my questions, thinking, shit, I want to ask all
Yeah.
of these.
Yeah. Me too. I was just, but you can see how s that energy is what you need to pull it off.
As someone who works in events, just
Right.
that doesn't matter what the event is. Like, what absolute legend and inspiration for that reason. Like the passion and the drive and the um his attitude towards everything is just like spot on. And that's why he's
Yeah.
been so successful.
And what you can see why I can't believe he ever thought he could step away.
Yeah.
It's
It would have been nice to ask him about that, but obviously we were running
because
out of time. But
it
yeah.
seems so in his DNA. But also I liked his I loved the listening thing. I thought that was fascinating. And the thing about personal relationships.
Mm. And
So
that's what it's all
if
about, isn't it?
yeah, if you're out there and you want Warped Tour to come to the UK, you've got to make really good friends with Kevin, basically, and be a wild, passionate, insane person.
I'm sure there are lots of people would volunteer to do that.
Yeah, that's
We're too tired.
yeah, the week we've had.
Although Orlando is suddenly sounding quite
Well,
tasty.
we'll take that one away, and we'll see what that would actually mean. Because I bet it's not as expensive as we think it is.
I see this moment of us locking eyes with Sean Smith across a busy tent and him looking at us and us looking at him and he's thinking, how the fuck did these guys get?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. A mullet off at 20 paces. Yeah. Yeah.
Go,
Yeah, exactly. What the
all right,
fuck?
boy.
Yeah, exactly. This is our territory. What are you fucking jokers doing
Get back on your cruise.
here? Get on the cruise as well. That's the next. If you run the cruise, answer our messages.
So many boat questions.
That's so many. So
Ah,
many.
I feel
Um,
very energized by that conversation.
do you? I feel like um that was the last bit of my energy.
You're gonna go lay down now. Friday night.
I am. I am absolutely. But I really appreciate. No, it was good. It was good. It was funny because it's interesting that he works not only in your space but also in my space
Yeah,
because
not
he was talking
MySpace.
about not the
Not
brand
the MySpace.
MySpace, the careers, because he was talking about charity partnerships, which is
Yeah.
what what I work for a non-profit. That's part of my life, but and just realizing I probably say, because I love saying no.
That was also interesting, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was really interesting. It was really interesting. It's like you can't say no, although he admitted he quite clearly does say no. Um, only if you've done everything else to possibly say yes.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's like
Yeah,
the yes man thing.
but with a sensible caveat.
Yes.
Because the thing about that yes man business is that there's a part of it which is like clinically insane.
I think a lot of it is clinically insane.
Like the basic premise is quite good for getting you out of your comfort zone, but there's a point where it very quickly is like probably seriously unhealthy.
Have you heard of like I won't go on for too much longer, but um the yes days. The kids are all asking for yes days. Have you seen this? There's
Yeah, it's a movie.
yeah, there's a
You know, it's a
movie.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the like my kids always like, can we have a yes day? Can we have a yes day? Like no.
Yeah, right.
It's just like ridiculous. Like, can you take us to a theme park and buy the theme park? Come on, Daddy, it's a yes day.
Yeah, I know. Like, and whenever when I was watching that yesterday movie, I was like, I would have said yes to all that stuff anyway.
Yeah, it's but like yeah, their kids need to be more creative.
But also, like, parents, like, chill out. Like, you
Yeah,
probably don't need to be saying no to all that stuff.
yeah. Can we
Like,
go and play baseball in the garden?
yeah, of course you fucking
Yeah.
can. But if you put one through the window of the car, a lot of lawn mowing in your future, sunshine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Actual parenting advice on Emo Dad.
There we go. Right.
Um, Notices.
Yeah. You want Titanic or Ratatouille?
Ratatouille. See that is a would you rather I can do.
Yeah. Cartoon mouse or sinking ship?
Cartoon mouse every single time.
Okay, here it comes.
Thank
Like
you
calm.
for listening to another incredible episode of the world famous Emo Dad, now officially a fanzine podcast. If you
Why not?
want to follow us on any of our social media platforms, just type in Emo Dad. It will be there. Enjoy yourself. If you actually want to talk to us on one of them, Instagram's the one. Matt will be the person who answers. Be nice to him. Send us an email. Sorry, I was getting all upbeat and I should have been calmer. Send us an email on our dusty email account that's not so dusty anymore, although it got dusty again this week. It's fine. You can keep emailing us at emodadpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to buy a t-shirt, it is a not-for-profit endeavor. We have those. Those are available. And some nice hats too. Matt's wearing one right now. See? Isn't it beautiful? So look, that music just came in at just the right moment. It's so good, so good. Are you the only emo in the village? Would you like to make connections, much like one can do at Warp Tour? Join our Discord server where other people are like you, are there ready and waiting to talk to you. Tip jar, you can leave us some money. You want to donate to the charity of this podcast that we currently pour a lot of money into, do that. Donate to that. That's it. Playlists. I never promote that, but we do have them. I don't think it matters though. Do we bother with that playlist anymore, Matt?
I sporadically. It still exists.
It still exists. Sign up to the Emo Dad podcast playlist and you will occasionally get that updated. But it is a good listen, however you consider it. If you want another playlist to sign up to, I've just added the best of Cursed Odyssey.
You got one of those. This is Cursed Odyssey.
I had to make it myself, but it is on there on Spotify. You can listen to the 10 or 12 tracks of the ones that I think are sort of better than the others of my personal music podcast. We will be taking a couple of weeks off. That is a thing that we will mention a bit more probably on social media after this episode, and then we'll be back. When we come back, no one's listening at this point, so I can say anything I like. No safe haven. That's a real thing. I've been having fun with that. So that will come back when we come back, and we'll talk about our little hardcore project a bit more when we come back.
And we've
Which
got
will only be
more interviews booked.
correct with the sort of people we were just talking about. So not to be too cryptic in case they don't turn up. So it's very exciting. It's always exciting times on the world famous Emo Dad podcast.
And if you want to write us into your shares, and you're going to sell your business for millions of pounds, we're up for that as well.
Come on, if you've got something you want to talk about and promote, we're down. That'll be a right laugh. We'll ask you some logistics questions, probably a bit like what's that thing called where they invest in? Not it's called Shark Tank in America. What's it called over
Dragon's
here?
Den.
Dragon's Den. Just like Dragon's Den, we'll ask you some really stupid questions. But if you want to come on here and promote something, we're down. And then when you get big and famous, you can leave us a share or two in your will. That's fine. We're
Big money.
okay,
Big
we're okay
money.
with that.
Big money.
Big money thanks to big promotion on the Emo Dad podcast. I'd love to do an advert for somebody one day. It's one of my dreams.
What, an advert for our podcast on
No,
someone
like
else's?
somebody else on our podcast. Like,
Oh, I
Matt,
see.
are you thirsty?
Yes.
Here, I've got a drink we can try.
What's the drink called, James?
Well, you know how expensive Starbucks is. This
Yeah.
is the same amount of coffee for half the price.
Wow. Where do I get that from?
You can sign up with our code, a made up coffee company .emodad.com
For a free sample. Yay.
and get your coffee for half the price. You see, just see what the kind of quality that you could have by sponsoring the Emo Dad podcast.
I also desperately want to do that. Should we just start promoting brands?
Or make some up. You should just make some up, right?
To make us sound big time.
Yeah, like Rico's radishes. Do you like a radish?
Yeah.
Well, you haven't had a radish until you've had Rico radishes.
Available from your local supermarket.
Look for the red packaging and the slight burning sensation. Rico radishes. See the sort of quality.
Great. It's great.
All right, we gotta stop now. I'm gonna get in trouble.
In trouble with who? Rico's radishes.
Rico's radishes,
Might
various
exist.
sponsors, and my daughter. So here we go. Thank you for listening, friends. It's been a dream come true. My name is James.
My name is Matt. I don't know why I sounded so
And we don't know what we're gonna
sad.
play out. What are we gonna play out?
I was going to play Thrice because
Oh yeah,
they've been announced.
they've been announced.
Exclusive
To
to
us.
us too.
That will have happened 1, 2, 3 weeks ago. Good.
But it was exclusive to us now.
Yeah, we could post it right now.
We could can we ruin their promotion. Don't underestimate the Emo Dad social media.
That's right. That's right. Never underestimate Emo Dad. Goodbye.
Goodbye.